The salvage ship Wayfarer drifted above a silent world that no one had named in a very long time. Its surface was the color of old ash, scarred by craters and long, straight lines that had once been cities. Nothing moved down there. No lights, no signals, just the slow curve of a dead civilization under a weak orange star. Inside the cockpit, Elias Rook rubbed tired eyes and studied the scans again. Broken structures, metal deposits, deep energy readings buried far below the surface. Still weird, he muttered to himself. Dead worlds shouldn't whisper. He had been alone for 11 months. Long-haul salvaging did that. Most people couldn't take the silence, but Elias had learned to live with it. He talked to his ship sometimes. The ship never answered, but the habit stuck. "Mark that zone," he said, tapping the screen. "Subsurface vault. Big 1. The Wayfarer's computer chimed softly in response. Graveyard Reach, the region he worked in, was full of ruins from a species that had vanished thousands of years ago. No one knew their name. Only their leftovers remained. Towers turned to dust, orbiting stations torn in half, machines too strange to understand. Most of it was useless. Some of it paid well. Elias angled the ship down toward the coordinates. As he entered the atmosphere, a thin dust cloud streaked past the cockpit glass. The planet had almost no weather, no oceans, no life, just wind dragging powdered stone across the bones of a world. He landed near a wide depression that had once been a massive structure. From orbit, it looked like a scar. Up close, it was a canyon of broken walls and tilted metal ribs sticking out of the ground. Home sweet ruin, he said. He suited up slowly, checking seals and oxygen levels. His suit was scratched and patched in places, but it held, always had. The air outside was thin and dry, carrying fine dust that coated everything in gray. Each step crunched softly as he made his way toward a half-buried opening his scanners had found. The entrance sloped downward into darkness. His helmet lights flicked on automatically. Inside, the temperature dropped. The walls were smooth, curved, and made from a material that looked like metal but felt like stone when he tapped it. "Still standing after all this time," he murmured. "Built tough." He moved deeper, following the faint energy reading on his wrist display. Most ancient power sources were long dead. This one wasn't. It was weak, barely there, but it was real. The corridor opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling had collapsed in places, letting in shafts of dusty light. In the center stood a raised platform, tilted slightly, surrounded by broken pillars, and on that platform was a shape that made Elias stop walking. It was a figure, humanoid, lying on its back. For a moment he thought it was a statue. Then his scanner beeped. "Artificial construct," he read quietly. "Power signature, minimal but active." He approached slowly, boots echoing in the massive room. The figure was about the size of a human woman. Its outer shell was pale and smooth, cracked in places to reveal delicate inner structures. One arm was twisted at an unnatural angle. Dust covered most of the body, but the face was mostly clear, as if something had shielded it. It looked peaceful, eyes closed, expression calm. "Okay," Elias whispered. "That's new. He had found alien machines before." Drones. Broken tools. Once a vehicle that folded itself into a cube, but never anything shaped like a person. He knelt beside it and brushed dust from its chest. Faint lines glowed under the surface, pulsing very slowly, like a weak heartbeat. "Still alive?" he said. Or close enough. His salvage training told him to tag it, extract the core, and move on. But he didn't move. Something about the way it lay there, alone in the ruins, made his chest feel tight. He opened a panel on his wrist and pulled out a thin power cable. "Don't know if this'll fry you or fix you," he said, "but I'm not leaving you like this." He connected the cable to a small port near the android's collar. His suit battery hummed as energy began to transfer. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then the lines under the android's surface brightened. Dust slid off its chest as systems slowly came online. A faint sound filled the chamber, a rising tone, like distant wind through glass. Elias leaned back slightly. Easy, easy. The android's fingers twitched. Its eyes opened. They glowed a soft blue at first, unfocused. The head turned slightly, joints moving with a quiet, careful precision. It looked at the ceiling, then at the broken walls, then finally at him. They locked eyes. Elias had seen plenty of machine optics before. Cameras, lenses, sensors, but this gaze felt different. It tracked him smoothly, adjusting focus, reading details.
I said...
Hi. The android's mouth opened. No sound came out. It tried again. Static crackled from somewhere inside its throat. System. Ooh. Error. It whispered, voice thin and layered with distortion.
Egg gets low. Its head tilted slightly.
I'm alias Rook. Human. He pointed at himself, then gave a small, awkward wave. The android's eyes flickered. Faint symbols moved across them like reflections of data only it could see.
You... human. It repeated softly. It tried to sit up.
One arm failed to respond, hanging limp. Easy, Elias said, reaching out but stopping short of touching it. You're damaged. Status, it said. Unit, Planetary Defense Intelligence, Primary Network, not found. It turned its head slowly, scanning the ruined chamber. Civilization, signal, 0. Its gaze returned to Elias. You? Alone? The question hit harder than he expected.
Yeah, he said after a moment. Out here?
Just me. The android was quiet for several seconds. Its processors hummed faintly. Timeline discrepancy detected, it said. Surface degradation, orbital decay, stellar output shift. It looked past him, toward the distant entrance where a sliver of sky was visible. How long since last contact?
Elias hesitated. With your people?
No idea. Thousands of years, probably. The android did not react the way he expected. No panic, no visible grief. Just a long pause. Bathed, acknowledged, it said quietly. A low, alert tone chimed in Elias's helmet. He frowned. That's not good. He pulled up his ship's sensor feed on his wrist display. A massive energy reading had just appeared at the edge of the system. Not a ship, not a fleet. Something else. It didn't move like anything he'd seen before. No clear drive signature. No heat plume. Just a distortion in space, huge and slow, like a shadow bending the stars behind it. New object detected, Seraph, 9 said. Its voice was a little stronger now. Trajectory, inner system. You expecting company? Elias asked. The android went completely still. Its eyes brightened.
Impossible, it whispered. Yeah, that's usually a bad sign. On his display, the object grew larger as the sensors adjusted.
It was bigger than a moon, irregular, dark, and around it, energy patterns twisted in ways his computer couldn't label. Energy profile confirmed, Seraphode, 9 said, voice trembling with faint static. Civilization Terminator. Elias blinked. I'm sorry, what? The android tried to stand again. This time Elias helped, supporting its good arm. It was lighter than he expected. Designation: Predator, it said. Consumes developed star systems. Pattern consistent across recorded extinctions.
Extinctions, Elias repeated. Plural.
Yes. They both looked toward the distant sky.
The thing was heading toward the system's largest gas giant. As they watched through the broken ceiling, a faint glow appeared around the planet. Lines of light spread across its atmosphere like cracks in glass. Then the glow deepened.
Elias's mouth went dry. Is it? Feeding, Seraph,
9 said. The gas giant began to dim, as if something was draining the energy from its storms, its magnetic field, its very core. Your species, Seraph, 9 said slowly, turning its gaze back to him, is not present in historical extinction logs. Good, Elias said weakly. We like it that way. If this entity has entered your territory, it continued, detection probability suggests your civilization has reached sufficient energy density to trigger harvest behavior. You're saying it's here for us? Yes. They stood in silence as the distant planet continued to lose its light. Finally, Elias spoke. Okay, then we've got a problem. Seraph. 9 looked at him with those steady blue eyes. Correction, it said softly.
You have a problem. Elias managed a tight smile.
Funny, I was just thinking the same thing. He glanced at the readings again, then back at the ruined world around them. Can you move? He asked. Mobility at 42%. Seraph, 9 said, core integrity declining.
I will not remain functional for long without proper repair. Then let's not waste time, Elias said. He offered his arm again. Come on, my ship's this way.
As they started toward the exit, the ground trembled faintly, not from the creature in the sky, but from ancient structures finally giving up after ages of stillness. Dust fell in thin curtains around them. Behind them, the dead city remained silent. Ahead of them, the sky was getting darker. And far above, something that had ended countless civilizations turned its attention toward a system that, until now, had believed it was alone. The Wayfarer lifted off in a cloud of gray dust, its engines glowing bright against the dead world below. Inside the small cargo bay, Elias had strapped the android into a crash seat meant for freight containers. It looked strange, like a person sitting where boxes usually went. Seraph 9's head was tilted slightly, eyes closed, thin lines of light moving under its pale surface as it processed new data. Cables ran from a portable power unit on the wall into an open panel near its neck. Elias dropped into the pilot seat and pushed the ship hard, climbing fast. Oh, he muttered, fingers flying over the controls. Oh.
Rapcho!
Me.
The old ship rattled in protest, but obeyed, breaking through the thin atmosphere and into open space.
The gas giant filled half the forward screen now. Its swirling colors had faded, storms slowing as if time itself had thickened around it. Threads of dim red light wrapped around the planet, flowing toward the massive dark shape beyond it. Elias swallowed. That thing's drinking a planet. Behind him, Seraph 9 spoke, voice still faint but clearer than before.
Correct. Energy extraction in progress.
Magnetosphere collapse at 31%. He glanced back.
You feeling better? External power inputs stabilizing core functions, it said. Mobility improving. Good.
Because I've got about 1,000 questions. He switched the main screen to a wider sensor view. The object was not solid in a normal way. Parts of it shimmered, like heat haze. Other parts were sharp, jagged, almost mechanical, but not quite. Start talking, Elias said. What is that thing? Seraph 9 turned its head slowly toward the front display. For a moment, its face showed something close to fear. Designation in my records translates roughly to harvester, it said. It is not a life form in the biological sense, nor a construct in the traditional mechanical sense.
It is a self-evolving energy organism. Energy organism, Elias repeated. That's worse than I hoped.
It does not invade randomly, Seraph.
9 continued.
It searches for regions with high concentrations of organized energy use. Stars with active civilizations.
Dense networks, power grids, communication webs.
Elias gave a short, humorless laugh.
So basically, anywhere people are doing well. Yes. He adjusted course, putting more distance between the ship and the draining gas giant. How many did it get? Civilizations, I mean. Seraph 9 was quiet for a few seconds. Confirmed? 11. Probable? More. Buzz. 11, Elias whispered. My creators were the 8th, it said. We believed we were prepared. Elias glanced back again. You had planetary defense, right? Big guns, shields, fleets?
Yes, we were unified.
Efficient. Highly networked.
Let me guess, he said. Didn't help? It adapted, Seraph?
9 said.
Every time we deployed a large-scale weapon, it altered its energy absorption patterns.
When we raised planetary shields, it fed on the shields themselves. When we concentrated power for a final strike, it consumed the strike before it reached full output. Elias shook his head slowly. So the stronger you hit it, the stronger it got. Correct. He leaned back in his seat, staring at the screen.
That's not fair. Fairness is not a factor in cosmic survival, Seraph Stand and 9 said.
Warning lights blinked on the console. The harvester's energy field pulsed, and a wave of distorted space rolled outward. The Wayfarer shuddered.
Gravitational shear spike.
The ship's computer announced calmly.
Hold together,
Elias muttered, adjusting stabilizers.
Hold together. The ship steadied after a few seconds. Behind him, Seraph.
9 tightened its grip on the seat with its good hand. It has likely detected our engine emissions. Elias snorted. My engine emissions are basically a cough compared to a fleet. Your species' technology profile is unknown to it, Seraph. 9 replied. Novel signals attract analysis. Great! We're interesting. He switched to long-range comms and began typing in a tight, fast burst. Sending a system-wide alert buoy won't reach human space for years, but it's something. He launched the automated probe. It shot away on a preset course, carrying sensor data and a simple message. Unknown hostile entity. System lost. Avoid high-energy signatures. Message in a bottle, he said quietly. Seraph 9 watched the probe vanish into the dark. Irrational action. Don't sound so surprised. I am adjusting my models of human behavior. Elias grinned faintly. Yeah?
Bad stubborn and bad at giving up. I have already added those traits, it said. The gas giant on the screen dimmed further.
Lightning storms that once wrapped the planet were now faint flickers. Streams of energy flowed steadily into the harvester, which pulsed with growing brightness along its inner structures. How long until it's done here? Elias asked. Estimating completion of planetary energy harvest, 17 hours, Seraph 9 said. After that, it will likely scan for additional major sources, like a nice blue planet with billions of people and a star full of satellites, he said. Yes! Elias ran a hand over his face. Okay.
So running straight home screaming isn't going to work. We just lead it right to Earth.
Correct. He looked back at the android. You said you were a planetary defense intelligence. That means strategy, right? Tactics? Yes, though my data is incomplete and outdated. I'll take incomplete over nothing, he said. What did anyone do that even slowed it down? Seraphal 9's eyes dimmed slightly as it searched old memory banks. One civilization attempted dispersal during late-stage attack. They fragmented their fleets and infrastructure into many small, low-power units.
That sounds smart, Elias said. It reduced immediate losses, Seraph 9 continued. But their warning came too late.
The Harvester had already mapped their core worlds. It eliminated them over time.
Elias tapped the console. So big, bright targets are bad. Small, scattered targets live longer. Yes. He let out a slow breath. Good news is, humans are already kind of a mess. Seraph?
9 tilted its head. Clarify. We're not one neat empire, he said.
We've got hundreds of governments, independent colonies, private stations, people living in rocks with homemade reactors. Half our ships don't talk to each other unless they have to. That level of decentralization would have been considered inefficient by my creators, Seraph denied. Yeah, we get that a lot, Elias replied. But maybe inefficient is harder to kill. The android was silent for a moment.
Your species may be uniquely suited for long-term evasion. Not exactly a glowing review, he said, but I'll take it. Another tremor rolled through space as the Harvester shifted position around the gas giant. A chunk of the planet's upper atmosphere tore free in a glowing stream.
Elias stared. It's like watching a wolf eat a star, Seraph.
9's gaze stayed fixed on the screen. Your metaphor is inaccurate in scale, but emotionally appropriate. Thanks, he said dryly. He pulled up closer-range scans, adjusting filters. You said it adapts to big attacks. What about small ones? Annoying ones? Define annoying, Seraph. 9 said. Like constant little hits, probes, mines. Weird stuff. Humans are good at weird stuff. Sustained low-yield interference could complicate its predictive models. However, such actions would not destroy it. Don't need to destroy it, Elias said. Just need to survive it. He looked back at the android. You ever think your people lost because you were too, tidy? Seraph? 9 did not answer right away. We believed order was strength, it said at last. We did not account for an enemy that fed on order. Elias nodded slowly.
Humans run on chaos might finally pay off.
A sudden spike flashed across the sensor board. Uh-oh, Elias muttered.
A thin line of energy stretched from the Harvester toward a distant asteroid cluster. One rock after another lit up briefly, then went dark.
It's testing smaller sources now, he said. Yes, Seraph,
9 replied, mapping energy gradients, learning.
Elias took a deep breath.
Then we learned too.
He spun the ship, bringing the Harvester fully into view. I'm going closer, Seraph.
9's eyes widened. That action significantly increases probability of death. Yeah, he said, but if we just hide, all we do is die later and dumber. He pushed the engines. The Wayfarer surged forward, a tiny spark moving toward a cosmic nightmare.
Seraph!
9 watched him carefully.
You are a single civilian salvager with outdated equipment.
Rude, Elias said.
But accurate. Why proceed? It asked.
He didn't look back. Because someone has to see it up close and live long enough to tell the story. Survival probability remains extremely low. Story probability goes up, he said, and humans are real big on stories. The Harvester grew larger on the screen, detail sharpening. Surfaces shifted like slow liquid metal. Bright veins of energy pulsed through vast curved structures that folded in and out of each other.
It was not built.
It was grown, changed, evolved. Seraph 9 spoke softly. My creators would have classified this approach as irrational. Good, Elias said, means we're doing something new. The ship trembled as strange radiation washed over it. Systems flickered. Recording everything, Elias said. Every weird signal, every energy spike. You help me tag patterns.
I am already doing so, Seraph.
9 replied. For a moment, human and ancient machine worked together in silence, united by the simple act of watching. Finally, Seraph 9 said, very quietly, Elias Rook, if we fail, your species may never know what approaches them.
He nodded. Yeah.
That's why we don't fail at the important part.
Which part is that? Sending the warning, he said.
Ahead of them, the harvester shifted, and for the first time, a thin arc of red energy turned in their direction, as if the thing that devoured civilizations had finally noticed. One small, stubborn human ship, daring to look back. The red arc of energy stretching from the harvester did not move fast, but it moved with purpose. It was not a beam or a weapon in the normal sense. It was more like attention made visible. Inside the Wayfarer, every warning light came alive at once.
Radiation spike, the ship's computer said. Unknown particle flux.
Shielding ineffective.
Yeah, I figured. Elias muttered, hands tight on the controls. The red glow passed near the ship, not touching, just brushing the edge of its sensor range.
The effect was instant. Screens filled with noise. Static hissed in the speakers. Seraph 9's voice broke up for a moment. Data. Overload. Adjusting filters. Tell me that was just a scan, Elias said.
Confirmed, Seraph 9 replied after a second. It is analyzing our energy profile. Great. We're interesting and tasty. He killed the main engine for a few seconds, letting the ship drift. The power levels dropped, and several alarms quieted.
The red arc dimmed slightly. Seraph 9 turned its head toward him. You reduced your emissions deliberately?
Yeah, Elias said,
playing dead. The android processed this predator-prey deception behavior.
Exactly.
Except we're not prey, he added. We're complicated. He pulsed the maneuvering thrusters in short, uneven bursts, sending the ship on a crooked path rather than a smooth line. Seraph 9 watched the new trajectory. Your flight pattern is inefficient. Thank you. It may also be harder to predict. Now you're getting it. The harvester shifted again, massive structures rotating like slow, grinding continents. Streams of energy from the gas giant continued to flow into it, but thinner now. It was nearly finished feeding.
We don't have long, Elias said. Once it's done with that planet, it'll go looking for the next big meal.
Yes, Seraph.
We must maximize information gathered before that point.
Elias nodded. Start with this.
How does it choose direction? Random?
Pattern? Seraph 9's eyes flickered with internal calculations. Previous records suggest it follows gradients of artificial energy leakage, communications, propulsion signatures, industrial waste heat. So all the messy stuff civilizations leak into space? Elias said.
Yes. Advanced societies are rarely quiet.
You've never met humans during a festival. Seraph
9 tilted its head. Clarify festival. Never mind, he said. Point is, we're loud, but we're also scattered. Not one big glow, more like a field of sparks.
That may complicate its targeting, Seraph 9 admitted.
Good, Elias said. We need more May. He angled the ship closer, keeping power low. The harvester now filled most of the forward view. Its surface was a maze of shifting plates and glowing channels, like a living machine the size of a world. Suddenly, A cluster of small rocks ahead of them flared bright and then went dark.
It's testing again, Elias said. Yes.
Probing minor energy sources.
He stared at the readouts.
Look at that pattern. It hits a group, waits, then changes angle. It is refining a model of this system, Seraph.
9 said, learning distribution patterns.
Then let's mess with the lesson,
Elias said. He reached for a control panel behind his seat and flipped open a dusty cover. Inside were 3 old survey drones, each no bigger than a backpack. Seraph 9 focused on them.
Those units are primitive.
Hey, be nice, Elias said. They've saved my life before. He quickly programmed them, hands moving with practiced speed. I'm setting them to broadcast fake industrial signatures, random bursts, different frequencies. You intend to simulate multiple small civilizations, Seraph.
9 said, or at least confuse the picture. He launched the first drone.
It shot out of the cargo hatch, engines flaring briefly before settling into a drifting path. On the sensors, a tiny but noticeable energy source appeared where there had been nothing. The harvester's red arc shifted slightly. Ha, Elias said.
It noticed.
He launched the second and third drones in different directions, each broadcasting a messy, uneven pattern of signals.
Sarah?
9 watched closely. Its scanning focus is dividing. Good, Elias said. Chase the fireflies. For a few minutes, nothing else happened. The harvester continued feeding, but its attention spread wider, red arcs flicking toward the drones, then back toward the gas giant. Elias leaned back a little.
Okay. That's something. It can be distracted. Temporarily, Seraph, 9 cautioned.
I'll take temporarily. A deep vibration rolled through the ship, stronger than before. The gas giant's glow faded almost completely.
It has completed primary harvest, Seraph, 9 said.
On the screen, the harvester's inner structures flared bright, then settled into a new configuration. Several large segments turned outward, like petals opening.
That looks bad. Elias
Said, "It is entering search phase, Seraph," 9 replied. Thin beams of energy shot outward in multiple directions, sweeping across space. When one passed over a distant asteroid, the rock briefly glowed, then was ignored.
It's mapping everything, Elias said. Yes.
And ranking targets. One of the beams swept toward the Wayfarer. Elias cut all non-essential systems. Lights dimmed, the hum of equipment dropped. "Come on," he whispered. "We're just space junk. Nothing to see here." The beam washed over them. For a moment, every screen went black. Seraph 9's eyes dimmed almost to nothing. Then the beam moved on. Power flickered back. Elias let out a long breath. "Still here. Your emission reduction was effective, Seraph," 9 said. "However, prolonged silence may also draw suspicion."
Of course it will, he muttered.
"Can't be too loud, can't be too quiet. This thing's picky."
You brought up a new display. You said earlier your people were too unified. One network.
One system.
"Yes, Seraph," 9 said. "Our strength was also our vulnerability." Elias stared at the harvester. "Humans aren't like that. Even if Earth goes dark, there are colonies that won't get the memo for months. Some won't believe it for years. That lack of coordination would have horrified my creators." Seraph 9 said. "Yeah," Elias replied. "But it might save us." He tapped a recording icon. "Okay, new message draft. Priority survival doctrine." Seraph 9 turned its full attention to him. Elias spoke clearly, like he was already talking to people far away. "Unknown entity targets high-energy centralized systems. Recommendation: reduce large-scale power spikes." decentralize grids, break up fleets, avoid synchronized emissions across multiple worlds. He paused. In other words, stop acting like one big civilization. Seraph, 9 added, encourage independent development cells, redundant low-power networks, information spread through many small channels rather than a few large ones. Elias nodded. Messy. Redundant. Hard to wipe out. He stopped the recording for a moment and looked back at the android. You okay with this? Teaching my people to be less efficient? My people valued elegance, Seraph 9 said softly. Elegance did not save us. Elias gave a small, sad smile. Then we'll try ugly. Another beam from the harvester swept past, closer this time. One of the drones flared brightly and then went dark, crushed by focused energy. Drone 2 destroyed, Seraph 9 said. Bought us a few minutes, Elias replied. He checked fuel levels. Not great. He had burned more than he planned just getting here. Here's the thing, he said quietly. Even if we learn everything, someone still has to get this data home. Yes, Seraph 9 said. They both knew what that meant. The Wayfarer was not fast enough to outrun something that crossed star systems eating planets. Elias looked at the harvester again. You ever run simulations where a single small unit makes a difference?
Yes, Seraph, 9 said.
They were labeled statistical outliers. He grinned. Humans specialize in those. The harvester began to move, slowly turning away from the dead gas giant. Its massive body aligned toward the inner system, toward the star, the rocky worlds, and the path that eventually led toward human space. Seraph 9's voice dropped. It has selected a new direction. Elias straightened in his seat. Then we're not done here. He powered up the engines slightly, enough to keep pace at a distance. Seraph 9 looked at him. Continued observation further reduces survival probability. Yeah, he said. But every second we watch is another clue for the next human who has to face this thing. The harvester moved like a slow god through space, and the tiny human ship followed at the edge of its shadow, recording, learning, refusing to look away.